All right, welcome back to Heroes Next Door. This is another review of Chicago Fire. This is season 7, where Foster actually does emergency surgery in the field on a patient's eye. So one of the things that was interesting about this episode was this is at a halfway house where the patient who got hit in the eye and has this issue actually has an ankle bracelet on. And he was really reluctant to go to the hospital and actually leave the halfway house because he thought he was going to be arrested or put back in jail because he left his area, which can be true. You're on house arrest. But, as I'm watching this show, I noticed that they have a police officer in the room with them. And that police officer, I think, calls the PO or something like that. But, here in Pennsylvania, the rules are pretty easy to follow. If that person has an ankle bracelet and they're with a police officer, they totally can leave that area and go to the hospital. That police officer takes control of that patient, kind of like a parent takes control of a pediatric patient. I'm not quite sure where they were going with this. Maybe Chicago's a little bit different. Different places in the United States might be different. But the way I understood it, you have two different options. Either you are in custody by the police officer, and that police officer then assumes responsibility for you and can make decisions for you to either go to the hospital or sign a refusal, or you're only being detained by a police officer. If you're being detained, then that person has the right to either refuse transport, refuse care, or any of those kind of things. So it's very important to try to figure out, is this a detained person or is this person in custody? My understanding, because he has the ankle bracelet, is that he's actually in custody. He's already been through the process, he's been booked, he's out on parole, and he's being watched by a parole officer, but there's a police officer there. So I'm not quite sure where they were going with that. I'd like to know what you guys think. Is this something that is an issue by using an ankle bracelet and being transported? I know I've transported many people to the hospital with an ankle bracelet. We have a prison near us. They come to the hospital all the time in custody, actually in handcuffs and stuff like that, because people do get sick and get injured while they're in jail and waiting either arraignment or whatever. So that part was a little confusing for me. So maybe you guys could help us figure that out. However, the procedure that was happening, my understanding is he got clocked in the eye and he had blood swelling behind the eye, which was putting pressure on his nerve and makes him go blind. So what happens is Foster actually decides, because she's trained as a physician in the past, but operating as a paramedic, she knows how to handle this injury, which is a very simple procedure per se, is they put a cut on the side of the eye to relieve that pressure, almost like a popping a zit. If you did that as a paramedic, guaranteed you're gonna get fired. We have scalpels. We're going to use it for a surgical crike, or we're going to use it for a finger thoracostomy. But to cut someone's eye to relieve a pressure, that's a good way to get fired. So, I understand that Foster was trained. Many of us have higher education. We're not just paramedics in most of our lives. We maybe are physicians, or we're maybe a paramedic operating as an EMT. You have to stay within that scope of practice. So, the scope of practice is not doing emergency surgery in the field. So this, for sure, would have got a standard paramedic fired. Probably would have got her fired. Fortunately, in the episode, it does work. It is relieved. The patient did well. But this is not the first time I've seen this. And this is where I want to be notification to you guys that, this is now the second episode, not Chicago Fire, but there's a new show out there called Transplant. In their pilot episode, they actually do the same kind of procedure. A guy gets hit by a truck, he's got some eye injury, and this physician, now he's not operating as a paramedic. Actually, he's not operating as a physician at all. A guy's from Syria. He is a physician in Syria. He's a refugee. Does the same kind of procedure. So that's not twice I've seen this kind of procedure in the healthcare setting or pre-hospital setting. I don't know of it being that popular, but now there's two different shows that show the same kind of injury, and yeah, I probably wouldn't do that. So that being said, once again, Chicago Fire is an excellent program, and I hope you guys are all watching it. I'm looking forward to the next season, and this new show called Transplant is a pretty good show too. So take a look. Once again, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching Heroes Next Door. Do us a favor, hit that subscribe, hit that notification button, and look forward to the next couple videos.